Hi, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Eye on the Eagles, your all-access pass to all things Avila Athletics. We are live from Tanner's at Redbridge, just off the Avila campus. I'm Sports Information Director Tim Hackett. Our first guest on this Nationals preview show is head dance coach Cindy Freeman. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you.
And, it's got to be an exciting time of year for you guys because this is what you've been building to, like you said yesterday, since the end of last season, since July. What's it feel like now that you have officially arrived at Nationals Week?
Well, I'm excited to go. It's been a long process, but it always is a long process. I feel like the team's ready, and it's just time to get down there and get on the floor and see what adrenaline does and try to put the best we can on the floor and see where we end up.
What have the last couple of weeks been like for you and for your teams? I know it's intensive.
Yeah, it's, with dance, there's so many things that are different from other sports. Like, we want the girls to match each other and look exactly the same. So we go through a process, what we call cleaning. And so we've been doing fine-tooth cleaning kind of. And then, so once you get through that, the main thing you have to do is just keep running it over and over and over full out to build the stamina to where they can get through the dance and still make sure they're applying the cleaning we've done. So that's kind of what the biggest challenge has been for the last 2 weeks. And it was good to see it last night in front of a crowd. And there's still some things we need to work on today at our last practice, but I feel really good about it.
That was one of the things I wanted to make sure we talked about, because yesterday we're filming this on Monday morning like usual, and on Sunday both Dance and Cheer had their annual national send-off where you guys got to perform your routines in front of somebody other than yourselves and your coaches for the first time. So what was that event like, and what does it take to build up to something like that?
It was wonderful. I mean, we had a great turnout. We had a lot of support. A lot of the coaches were there. Student athletes, of course, family and friends of the dancers, and our president and his wife were there, and one of our vice presidents and her husband were there. So it was a lot of fun. The girls were fired up. They get to put on the costume for the first time, which really makes a difference in how you dance as well. And it enhances the whole performance. I will say sometimes it can also show you some things you need to do differently because it can impact that way. So there's a few things in hip hop that we can tell now that we have a costume on that we need to tweak a little bit tonight at practice. But it was a great experience and the support was incredible.
Can you put into words like how much more it means for your team and for your athletes to have that audience in front of them? They aren't being judged or anything like that. They're being critiqued by you and the coaches, obviously, but it's not like, what you guys will be dealing with later this week. But it's different from anything that you have been doing, over the last month or any point in the season, because everybody that was there to see your team and cheer perform their routines, and there was nothing else going on. No basketball game, whatever. So can you put into words what that's like for your athletes to get that experience for the first time, and then for the second time when you did your second routine, building into what you're going to later this week?
It just helps them. Again, adrenaline is so much, as far as getting through the dance. And so I think they get that little extra adrenaline push whenever they're in front of a crowd. And for us, it helps us see what they're actually going to do at the event. Or, their adrenaline's going to be even better at the actual event. But and then I do know it was interesting because we had them do hip-hop again because we had a few mistakes. And my assistant coach turned to the crowd and said, hey, can you guys yell for them more? Because that'll help them get more fired up too, because sometimes I think people are just like watching, and they don't know, and it's fine. And so that really helped the second time through. But it meant a lot to us. The families were really excited. I heard several people were crying during our lyrical piece, which that's a good thing, actually, because that means they were moved, And so I think it was great, and I think the girls recognized that.
Let's go off that first, because I don't want you to have to, spill any trade secrets, because I know that this is the time of week. I don't want to say time of year, but the time of week that we play things a little bit close to the vest. And this time next week, all those secrets will have been laid bare. So I'm not going to make you, say everything yet. We can talk more about this when we see you on the show in a couple of weeks. But when you said, it was clearly the piece was clearly moving to people. Can you tell us, a little bit about the backstory with that and why that might be the case, or is that going too far in right now?
I can tell you a little bit, but not much. Okay.
We'll save some of it for 2 weeks.
So
noted.
So I will not say who the artist is, but I will tell you it is my favorite artist of all time. And it's always been a dream of mine to have my team dance to one of her songs. I will say it's a her. But I did not put any pressure on the choreographer to use her music, which the choreographer is my daughter, but I still don't ever influence her on that. And it was kind of a bucket list thing for me. And the other thing is, you can't do this style of dance without a very strong team. And the style we're doing is one that they could only execute if they were as good as they are. And so it's probably the hardest style to put on the floor unless you can live up to it from a technique standpoint. And this team can do that. So
I've been asking a few more hardball questions this semester than I did in the first semester, so I'll challenge you a little bit with this question. I know that this team has been one that you have been looking forward to for, I mean, you tell me for how long, but you've been talking to me about this team, this group, before you even got them all together on campus at the start of the fall semester. So obviously you haven't, competed for real yet, but going into this week, you've seen this team now realized. What has that been like?
It's amazing to me. I mean, I have known a lot of these dancers since they were younger. I feel like I've known all of them since they were younger because we're such a close team. And it's funny because the freshman that came in this year, one of them committed at the end of her junior year, and the rest of them committed early. And one of my transfers that came in, I had recruited out of high school, but she wanted to go to a bigger school, and then she transferred in. And then all of the veterans that we have on the team are phenomenal. Our upperclassmen who have been with us the longest, they're all juniors, but two of them are considered seniors because they're going to graduate at semester next fall, which is Olivia and Kinsey Craig. And so we have a lot of experience, but we also have a lot of new blood on the team, and they're all really talented. And then our sophomore class is phenomenal as well. So it's been really fun to watch the group kind of mesh together and the chemistry come together. And you're right, I've been super excited since recruiting last year about how this team would look on the floor together. So, and I feel like they've exceeded my expectations.
In case you've missed it somehow, Coach Freeman's team has had quite a bit of success at this event over the last couple of years. And I'm not saying there's pressure on you guys this year, but what I am saying is that all of this team, because there is so much returning from last year, these girls have been there and done that across the board. Ask Coach Julia Kramm a question kind of on the other side of this when we have her on the show in a few minutes. But for your team, there's very little inexperience, a ton of experience to frame it that way. I think more so than a lot of your teams in the past. Not to say that you were, totally green going into the last couple of years, but a lot of the girls on this team have been part of one or two of your national championship teams over the last couple of years. What has that done for the team going into the event this time around? It's
really exciting because they're really hungry for a good outcome, which obviously we can't control because we're judged, by judges. It's their opinion based on a score sheet. It's not just an opinion, but there is some of that comes into play. My juniors that are juniors and seniors, actually, what I just explained, they've got 2 rings from 2 consecutive years, and this will be their 3rd year competing, and they have goals, but you never know what's going to happen. And so, all we can do is put our best foot on the floor, quite literally, and hope it works out. The new girls on the team have I think all but one of them has competed at this event in the high school version of it too. Yeah. So they've had nationals experience. They just haven't had college nationals experience. And then of course they've all had studio nationals experience. And one of the things that's really exciting for us is last year, one of the teams that we beat to win the year before wasn't at our competition last year. I think it's because it was Easter weekend, and they're back this year. And they actually just won an NAI national championship.
There you go.
So it's going to be fun to compete against them because they're NAI champions and we're NAI. So we're super excited to see
St. Ambrose.
St. Ambrose, yeah. We beat them 2 years ago, and they're a phenomenal team. I mean, when I say we won, we barely won, just like by a fraction of a point. And so we're super excited to see how we measure up, with everybody this year.
That's actually a really cool storyline that I didn't know. So that actually so you guys are in the same division at this competition coming up this week.
Yep.
All right, so can you explain then for us, maybe for people who are, just getting into this or learning stuff for the first time, how everything works this week? What's your schedule like? Then specifically, what's your team schedule? And then also, what is the schedule of the event? How does it all work?
So We have practice today. We're going to go back over, the things that we saw last night that maybe did or didn't work, and then just talk a little bit about some of the critiques that we need to focus on. And then we're going to hopefully send them all off with everything they need. We have a packing list. We've always done that. That's a tradition we started in 2000. My daughter who danced for me and my choreographer started that, and it's been good for us because we don't leave anything to chance. They mark off what they need. So they have to go home and get packed, and they carry everything that they need to compete on. So in case luggage gets lost,
Sure.
And then tomorrow they'll have an off day to get, what they need to get done. They have classes, but we don't have practice. And then we leave Wednesday. And when we get there, we just hit the ground running. So our plane lands late Wednesday night. Thursday morning, we have a scheduled rehearsal at the venue so that we get to practice on a floor that's a replica of what the competition floor will be. And we will do our hip hop and our jazz in practice sessions back to back. We don't have much time, so we have to be very efficient, and we have a plan going into that, knowing what we want to do in those 20 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever we're going to get this year for each dance. And then we will, do the things the girls need to do, eat, rest, and then we'll probably practice again Thursday night, and then Thursday night, and then we will compete on Friday. So, and then just keep going from there. And typically, after semis, we'll practice again because we might see something the judges said that we think we maybe need to work on or tweak, and we've been known to literally change things in our routines that night at midnight and then go back into finals the next day. So it just kind of depends. We will practice, though, a lot while we're down there. We'll just have to practice in a parking lot for the most part, but yeah. So
what is that like to just tweak all of that stuff almost on the fly like that? I mean, I imagine it's a challenge for you and for them.
It is. We tell the girls from the beginning of the year that they have to be adaptable, and some of them aren't used to having to change things at the last minute. Unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at this, we've had to tweak some things at the last minute on a lot of game days, which I think has helped them prepare for this. But the reasons we had to do it, I wish wouldn't have happened.
Sure.
We've had some injuries and some things like that. But I think it's also helped the girls realize that you have to be on your toes and you have to be adaptable. And typically, it's really funny because when we have those late night practices and we work on those things, and the night before semis, we'll be out in the parking lot working on things too, but not necessarily change anything. But it's always funny because when we come back, you realize some of your best memories are those late night practices, practicing with each other and making those last minute changes and just getting in the grind of everything. And they always talk about how those are some of their favorite memories. So even though the pressure is on at that point, I feel like it really builds character and enhances our chemistry and everything as a team.
At that point, you realize, right, that there's no time left. So if we're going to be serious about practicing and getting it right, getting that much better to either go into the semis, or we know what our standings are, we need to do this much better maybe in the final. We know that at this point, literally at that point on a Friday night at midnight, there's no time left. So if we're going to change things, if we're going to get better, now's the time, as we literally don't have any opportunities. Is that kind of the mentality?
Yes, it is. Yep, it is. And so it's a lot of pressure on them, but I think they're up for it. And, we're just ready to go and see what happens. So
that, I guess, was my question: is what's everybody's? I hate this expression, but what's the excitement level going into this week? How's everybody feeling?
They're feeling really good. I think they felt great about what they put on the floor last night. I think they realized there's still some things that we need to push a little harder on. And again, we're going to talk about that tonight. And they watch a lot of video. I've tried something new this year. I don't just watch video with them. We post it in band, and then I actually give them homework, and everybody goes through and has to do like 3 team critiques and 3 personal critiques on each dance, and they put them in band so everyone can read the critiques. And a lot of them do more than I ask. They put more than 3, and their critiques have been phenomenal. They're very detailed, and they've put a lot of work into this. I mean, their commitment is there. So,
I guess one of the things that I saw yesterday at we call it the send-off, is now, again, no offense on this, but typically you guys will perform those routines. You got 2 of them, 2 or maybe even 3 times on those days if you need to. Well, you got through one of them on one shot, and I was kind of looking at some of the girls' reaction. Some of them went up to you. They said, "Are we done? Or is it a one and done?" And you said yes, and they were so excited because that's not normally how it goes. So again, without giving away any secrets or anything like that, my conclusion has to have been that you guys were pretty impressed by how that one went.
We were, and it is one of those. Sorry, excuse me. It is one of those things where if they execute it how we want, I'm not saying perfect,
Sure,
but if they execute it how we would like to see it executed at this point in the journey, then we're going to let them be done. And honestly, that is the best I've ever seen them do that dance. And so, again, there's a couple things we need to talk about today at practice, but overall, it was phenomenal and it was beautiful, and it was unanimous with the people that were helping me make that decision that was a good decision, and so we were really happy about it.
That's high praise. I mean, that means that you guys must have all been pretty impressed.
We were very much so, and we have a tough crowd. I mean, I had some former alumni in the audience and a couple former coaches, and they all said the same thing. They said, "Wow," so it was good.
I guess then, look, you and I operate this in a similar way in this. Like I know you want things to be, I'll use your word, in an ideal world everything would be perfect, but we know that that's not going to be the case. So you can't expect hundreds across the board, if you will. It's not the exact point scoring criteria that we use here, but you can't expect that. So what you have to do, just based on our conversations over the years, is you need to be in a position as a team and also individually to give your team the highest score possible, knowing that it is impossible to achieve a perfect score, whatever that is.
Right.
So, I mean, is that a fair assessment, first of all? And then you're looking at these performances at this time of year saying, like, all right, there's obviously things that we can clean up, but that's about as good as it's going to get, is kind of the conclusion that I drew.
Well, you hope it all comes together when it needs to come together. Julie and I, the cheer coach, were talking about this, and it's really weird, but I'm kind of superstitious. I don't want my best performance to be at send-off.
Sure.
So if it would have been perfect yesterday, that probably would have worried me a little bit. So we look forward to hopefully that happening when we get down there on the floor. So, but yes, and scoring a perfect score, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Even some of the best teams I've ever seen dance don't get perfect scores. There's always room for improvement. But yeah, and it's really up to the girls and the coaches to we need to get them ready. And then they need to do what they need to do on the floor. And it's a team sport, and if everybody doesn't pull their weight and doesn't do their homework, like I said, and do what they need to do, the outcome isn't as good as it will be if everybody just takes on their role and achieves what they need to achieve. And this team's been really good about that. So I have really high hopes for them. I mean, anything can happen. And sometimes it's out of your control.
Sure.
I mean, I've had kids before where something was wrong with the floor and it's caused their foot to stick when they're trying to turn. It wasn't their fault. They were devastated when they came off, but it wasn't their fault. It just, thank God it didn't blow their knee or something.
Sure.
But you just hope for the best. So.
What have you learned from this event over the last couple of years? I know there were a few years where you changed where you would go or competition you were in or whatever, but you're going back to one that you've now been at the last couple of years, and I know how pleased you have been with that process, regardless of the results, but which certainly is something to be pleased about. But I know you've enjoyed the process of going there, how it all works. So what can you now take into going back into this event once again, this specific event?
I feel like this event is very customer service oriented. I feel like everything's very transparent. I love the fact that we're competing against NAI teams in the past, which it was amazing. We're competing against NCAA Division II teams, and we still did well. And I kind of lost sight of the fact that we were competing against bigger schools, and you don't think about that. And then finally, we switched because we're like, hey, let's see how we stack up against NAI schools, and see how we do there. And it's been great. And so, but there's a lot of good NAI schools out there, and the competition's getting bigger and bigger. And, we just hope we can continue doing what we're doing. We'll see.
What do you think it's going to take to continue what you guys have been doing at this competition?
We just have to keep getting stronger and stronger, better and better, recruit more and more. And I think that, dance has evolved so much since I started doing this in 2000. The dancers are phenomenal athletes now, and I don't think they always get the credit they deserve for that. I know in our department, we recognize that. I know our strength and conditioning coach recognizes that. But we just have to do our job to keep growing with the culture of the sport as it grows as well. So
we're really excited to see what you guys can do this week. That's coming up this weekend. Your reigning national champions, the Avila Glitter Girls, are back to defend once again for the third year, back to defend their national championships this weekend. So semifinals on Friday, finals on Saturday. We'll have all those details for you on our website, avilaathletics.com, later on Monday and Tuesday when we've got that information for you. And stay tuned to our social media and the dance social media as well for updates, highlights, previews, and content all week from Florida. So this Friday, semifinals. This Saturday, finals for the Avila dance team as they compete for yet another national championship. That is head dance coach Cindy Freeman. You're watching Eye on the Eagles. Good luck this week, coach, and break some legs out there.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
You're watching Eye on the Eagles. We'll be right back with head cheer coach Julia Kramm next. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Eye on the Eagles, your all-access pass to all things Avila Athletics. Sports Information Director Tim Hackett now joined by head cheer coach Julia Kramm. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
How are you feeling? I know that it's finally that time of year. You guys leave for nationals this week, compete later this week. How are you feeling?
I'm really excited, a little bit nervous, just to see how the girls do, but we're really excited to go. It's finally here. We've been talking about it and prepping for this since July, so the fact that it's finally time, we're reared and ready to go.
It's got to be extra sweet for you because I know this is something that you have been personally and professionally, but it's something that you have been building towards yourself since you got here, and it's been a little bit since we've seen Avila Cheer competes at a national event, and we are going to get to see you guys compete later this week. It's exciting for us. It's exciting for our families and fans, and I know it's got to be exciting and rewarding for you as well.
Yes, it's kind of being back on the competition floor. That's something Avila has been known for in the past, so the fact that we're finally getting back to it is great. We're excited for that. Going to NCAA, the experience that I had as an athlete, I absolutely loved it. It's such a fun event. The fact that it's outside, we compete right next to the beach, that kind of adds a whole different element to it, something that it's really kind of a new experience for most of our girls. It's a lot of fun. Everybody there, all the other teams, they're so supportive and they create like a really good environment. So it's just a fun competition, and I'm excited to be there as a coach for the first time, and for the girls to get to experience it as athletes. None of them have ever been to this competition before, so it'll be the first time any of them have ever competed with Avila across their chest. So that's kind of an exciting thing that they're just so ready to go.
There's so much to break down here. It's really exciting because, like you said, it is going to be uncharted territory for you and for everybody on the team, not you personally, but you in this role. So there's so much that we can talk about with this. First of all, I mean, how are the athletes feeling as they are finally getting to that point? You mentioned you've been building it since July, talking about it, getting ready for it. It's probably been in the back of your minds, but now it's after yesterday. I'm sure it's front and center as you get ready to actually compete this week. So what's that transition been like, and how are they feeling as you're finally getting ready to go?
They feel prepared. They're ready to go. I think in the past week or so, they've really locked in. They've been working really, really hard. Everything's finally starting to fall into place and click with their skills and with their routine. So we're happy about where they're at. It's been a long road to get there. We've had a lot of injuries just throughout the entire season. Fall was really good for us with game day, but we just kind of had some rocky things with some roster changes, injuries, things like that. So we've had a lot of people having to step up into roles that they might not have seen themselves in at the beginning of the year. But the spring has gone really well for us. They've worked hard gaining the skills that we need to. We've really pushed them. We set really lofty goals, and they've reached every single one of them so far. So we're excited as coaches about that. The athletes, they're just ready. This is kind of a new experience. A lot of them kind of in their high school backgrounds. We have some of them have never competed before. Some of them have a lot of competition experience and with All-Star, and some of them have just done high school. So it's just a lot of varying backgrounds, experiences, and so it's kind of nice just to start fresh, and this is new for pretty much everybody, and it's good. The result that we have is exactly where we want to be. So it's been a long road to get there, but we're happy with where we're at and what we're going to do down in Florida.
What are some of those goals that you set? Is that something that you can share?
Yeah, some of the skills that we've had. So the group we had when we started this summer, we were pretty much at the bare basics of stunt skills. So none of these girls have ever done collegiate level skills. So with that, a lot of their 2.5 high pyramids, they're flipping baskets, they're flipping dismounts, things like that. It was completely new to all of them. So we had to teach them from scratch. So we've worked them up from just taking our time really in the fall with the basics and being slow and teaching them the right technique. So we have an advanced level pyramid, which is awesome. That's not something we thought we would get to, but we have it and it looks really good. That's definitely one of our strong suits, which is surprising with how young of a team. That's usually something that takes a couple years for them to get really comfortable with, that you really, mostly with college level pyramids, you rely heavily on your experienced athletes, which we don't have. So the fact that that's a highlight for us in our routine is awesome. We've had some girls, it's just they were new to their stunt position this year, and they've really stepped in and stepped up, and it's been awesome. So yeah, we're just proud of the skills that we put out and how new it is to everybody and how hard they've worked to really just be like, okay, I can do this. We're going to try it. This sounds crazy to me, but we're going to do it, and we got it.
I'm no coach, as you know, if you've watched this show, but I was an instructor here the last couple of years, and I kind of had this role where I taught the quote-unquote higher-level students. I taught 400-level classes, and then I also taught our entry-level class, a 100-level class. So I was dealing with students on opposite end of the experience spectrum, if you will. So in theory, people that had seen it, done it, lived some of our world before, and then also people who had literally never done anything before, never written in a journalistic style or whatever the case is. So there's benefits and pros and cons to both sides, I guess. So I had to learn how to deal with, for lack of a better term, people that had never seen my territory before, certainly not at a higher level. You're not dealing with complete amateurs, complete rookies. I'm not saying that, but you have had now the opportunity as a coach to build up athletes who don't have that much experience, rather than perhaps jumping into a team that has won a national championship 20 years in a row or whatever the case is, and has athletes with 3 or 4 years of experience already. So what's it been like for you as a coach, new to us over the last year or so, to build up a very new team and help them develop skills that they didn't have previously?
It's definitely a challenge, trying to teach, just trying to figure out how everybody learns the best and trying to come up with ways to teach skills that you've maybe never had to break down like that before, versus, sometimes you're more experienced athletes, you can pretty much just tell them, okay, let's do this, and they can do it first try. But trying to just figure that out, that's been a challenge for me, and I think it's kind of fun. I almost prefer kind of building athletes from scratch. That way I can teach them the exact technique that I want them to learn, and it kind of just sets them up for like the progressions of what I want to teach them later on. So I like it. I lean into it, and what's exciting is we got whatever I teach them this year, we have for next year, and we can kind of build off of that. So we knew it was going to be a rebuilding year, and we knew we just had to take our time with it, and the results would pay off. It might not have been as quick as we wanted to, but it's just got to have patience, and really just reiterating to the girls when they're learning that you're not going to get it the first try. It's going to take some time, and they've really just bought into that, especially when we got lucky with that. But they trusted the process, and we trusted the process, and it's got us to the result that we want, which is very rewarding. It's a rewarding feeling to see that awesome. The hard work pay off.
Good for you. That's really exciting. I started our conversation with a bit of a conclusion, so please correct me if I'm wrong. I started by saying this has been a goal of yours, was to get back to a competition level. But I understand, and we all understand, that this is not the only thing that most cheer programs, and certainly not ours, do. So it's not like you've only been building towards this week since you guys got the whole team in here in July, or really got back with your new revamped roster at the start of the semester. You've been working on other things. Obviously, you're out there competing on game days just about every week. So so first of all, my question is it a fair assessment to say that this has been a goal of yours, getting ready and getting ready to compete this week, and then how do you build that into everything else that you're working on?
We really just try to use our game days as practice for skills for competition. So making sure that whatever we do for game day has a purpose for us on the competition side, because the competition is definitely a top priority for us. Just making sure, okay, what can we get these skills in front of a crowd? Things for winning competition, just getting that exposure of kind of more of like simulating a pressure situation. I'm using game days for that. But we still want to make sure game day is good. It's a priority for us as well. But just making sure kind of what can we do in game day to help us for competition and get that experience. Since, again, a lot of these girls don't have it. So how can we kind of use games and things as just simulating things for competition?
And that's something that's so unique about what you and what dance do, is that you've got all of these little sessions, if you will, to prepare for the big event coming up this week. Whereas, let's pick any other sport, baseball and softball are in season right now. They're playing all these games, 50 regular season games, hoping that you're going to play some more in the postseason, but nothing changes. The stakes are greater, and the teams you're playing against are probably better, but still the same game. You're not doing anything different. It's not necessarily the case for you guys because, the stage is a lot bigger. You got a lot more people in the stands. Pressure's on a lot higher than it is, on a Wednesday night in the pavilion, but you're still building up towards that by doing all of these things. It's kind of a concrete building block to get there, right?
Yep. We definitely use it as kind of a practice tool because, again, it's hard to simulate in practice those kind of pressure situations of doing it in front of a crowd. Little things happen when you have other people watching you that sometimes that just don't pop up in practice. So just kind of helps us know, okay, this happens, how can we fix it? Then we can go back and practice the next day and kind of see how we can kind of better prepare our girls so that way when they go in front of a big crowd on the national stage that, the nerves are calm, that they feel confident in their skills, that muscle memory is there, and that way we kind of prepare for any situation possible for, again, have the best result on the band shell.
What did you guys learn on Sunday at the national send-off? Like, now, speaking of a crowd, you got to be in front of a crowd for the first time, and it was a big one, as Cindy mentioned earlier. And we had a lot of people in maybe Fieldhouse on Sunday evening. And so what was that like for your team? What was that event like as a whole, and what did you learn?
It was a good experience. Again, we were kind of unsure of how some of these girls would do in presser situations. Was definitely a good learning tool for us. They were a little nervous, so that kind of showed in our first run through our routine, but we kind of expected that. Honestly, we kind of prefer for them to get all of the mistakes, all the little things out, and for those to happen at the showcase. That way we can practice and we kind of know how to handle that and fix it before we go to nationals. But overall, we were very pleased with how they did. Our first run through had a couple stunt falls, but we went a second time and everything hit as we wanted to, so that made us feel a lot better. But again, it was a good learning tool for us, and we have practice today, and we're going to fix a few things before we leave tomorrow, but we feel really good about it. We were really excited. It was fun for them too. Kind of a lot of their friends and family came, and it was the first time they've kind of seen them again and compete and do a type of routine with us. So it was really exciting for them. We're very proud of them, and I know their families are very proud of them as well. So it's kind of nice because a lot of these parents and friends and family don't always get to travel with us down to competition to Florida to watch them. So kind of is nice for them to see them here. It's almost more pressure at the showcase than sometimes at competition, just because it's in front of people that you care about and people that you know. So versus kind of down in nationals, everybody's kind of a stranger in the crowd, but we're proud. We're excited. It's good. We feel really good about kind of where we're at, and kind of we're building towards the direction that we want to really peak towards the end of this week.
Thank you for leading me to that, because that honestly was kind of my hardball question for you on this show is, as I know you haven't competed at nationals yet this week, but what do you think the difference will be like compared to what you guys just dealt with on Sunday versus what you will be performing in front of this week? Because I imagine what you just said is a big factor. You know who's in the audience. You can look up and pick out people that you know, whether it's your family or whoever the case is. I'm guessing that's not necessarily the case when you're in Florida because, A, it's a bigger venue, bigger crowd, and it's neutral parties to many extent. You got people that are there to see the event, not just to see you, and that's what everybody was there for on Sunday. They were there just to see your team, your athletes, or maybe dance, or maybe both, for like the case for some of us. So we knew who was out there. We were there to see you guys, not to see, a collegiate cheer competition. So what is that difference like, and does that play into your favor, or does it make it harder?
It almost makes it a little bit easier. The crowd usually it's a lot of athletes and parents and friends and family of other teams or whatever. So they're just, they're here to watch a show and they're supportive of whatever you do. I think the biggest challenge for nationals for us is just the outside factor. Whether it be we're right on the beach, so a lot of times it's really super windy and very sunny, and you never know kind of what it's going to feel like. It can be super really warm and hot, and so that's kind of something that's kind of hard to simulate here. We've been doing some practices outside to kind of get those reps and kind of feel that out, but that's always a big factor down for NCAA is just how are they going to react to kind of the weather element. But the venue is a lot of fun. It's a good experience. So I think they're going to do really well. They're very excited. It's honestly, I think a little bit as an athlete, it was always easier to kind of compete outside. It just feels like a more close, intimate kind of venue versus kind of the inside competition. There's the bright lights, the stage lights. So it's just kind of a different environment, but it's going to be fun.
That's really interesting. I wouldn't have really thought about it like that, but I also never really thought about the environmental differences. Like I can't imagine it's easy to be in a pyramid when it's super windy.
It is not.
Or to tumble if the wind's either going at your face or at your back. It might make the inertia a little bit stronger, perhaps, or I might not be using the physics term properly here. But I imagine for all of that is to say, it will have an impact one way or another, probably.
Yes, yeah. We're fortunate that we live in a state that we can get outside in the spring versus some people all across the country that they don't have that opportunity. So it does give us a little bit of an edge, but it's always a factor. You never know what it's going to be like that day. You never know. You just got to prepare your girls the best they can so that they're prepared for anything and everything.
So for those of us who might be rookies at this, and I certainly am, we've never been at this competition before at the school, at least not recently. So can you tell us what this week is going to look like from a logistics standpoint, what your schedule is, what the event schedule is, and what you guys are doing to go into it?
So we're going to head down tomorrow to Florida. That's kind of just our travel day, our day to kind of just relax and kind of a low-stress day for us. Wednesday, we will have our venue practice, so we get to go in the warm-up space, kind of have our official practice, get some skills work in. We compete in prelims on Thursday at 3:30 Central Time. And then Friday, we'll compete again in finals. Won't know that time yet. That kind of depends on how we do in prelims.
Okay. So how is the competition structured then? Like, roughly how many teams are in the division? And then you said your order in finals is dependent upon your performance in semis, so you only get the ultimate question is you only get one chance in semis, and then there's your score, and then you turn around and do that again in finals. Do the scores stack? Like, I'm just asking you a bunch of procedural questions so we learn how it goes.
So the scores are 70. Your score is 75% final score, and then your prelim score is 25%.
So
and
your
they
final,
add those together. So
okay.
They average the two. Finals definitely has a lot more weight in your score, obviously, but yeah, you want to do good both days. That way, but you do have a chance if something happens in prelims, you do have a chance to fix it in finals, and finals is the more important one, obviously. So there's I think there's 4 people total, including ourselves, in our division. We compete in AI Advanced All Girl. For the event total, there's about, I think, rounded out about a little over 500 teams total.
Wow.
On just the cheer side. I think there's about 200 to 300 on the dance side as well for this national competition. So it's definitely a very big, very large event, very well attended from people all across the country. So it'd be fun.
Weighted averages. I haven't really thought about this since middle school, and that is how the scores are calculated. It makes sense that it would scheme that way, that the finals are weighted even more heavily, but then also, like you said, that gives you not just another chance, but that regardless of how we do in our semis, we're going to go out there and do it again with more on the line, which hopefully is a motivating factor rather than a burden.
Yes, it can kind of. I've seen it go one way or the other. People have a perfect prelims and then they crash and burn in finals, and I've seen it do the opposite. That finals, you never know what's going to happen. So our job is just to make sure the girls are prepared, that they kind of have that muscle memory. That way things don't happen in competition that they aren't used to, or something new. But we just want to do our best. We're not so worried much about the placement. Again, this is the first time we've been there, so we really don't have expectations of how we're going to do. A lot of the teams in our division are kind of in that same boat, that they haven't been in this. This is the first time for them to going to NCAA. So we just want them to hit a clean, solid routine with no deductions, and they do that both days, and we're super happy.
So that's kind of your goal is cleaning everything up, to use Cindy's word, to make sure that everything is as fine-tuned as possible so you can get out there and perform at the best of your ability.
Yeah. We just want to do our best. We know we don't have some of the skills that some of these other teams have, just kind of with these newer girls, and some teams are going to be bigger than us, but we just want to do our best, hit a clean routine for us, and then wherever the placements shake out, then that's where it happens. But we just want to be proud of what we do and not have any regrets with our routine.
Everything that you have now been building towards since you've been a part of us, our family, our team here for over a year now, and then your team, the athletes, now that you guys have been together in some facet or another since the summer and since the start of this semester, it's all been building up towards this week. How are you feeling now that is almost finally realized?
Oh, it's so good. We're so excited. I'm so ready. I've been thinking about nationals since we started to put this team together last spring, so it's really exciting. I haven't been back to this competition since 2019, so it's been a while, but I'm so excited. I'm just ready for them to be proud of what they do and just kind of see them shine, and they're so ready and they're so excited, and we're excited as coaches just to go. We just can't wait.
We can't wait either. We are really excited to see you guys out there. Obviously, like I said, we get to see you, off to the side, if you will, during basketball season. So we've seen you guys a lot this semester, not recently, obviously, but that was exciting. And it's just, that's been kind of a universal thing that I've heard, from the important people and the other people in the athletic department, is that it was really, really awesome to see a cheer team, but also your cheer team back out there for the first time in a little while. And so I know that the excitement level for us, and again, I hate that expression, I've used it now 3 times in this show, but everybody in the department I know are really excited to see you guys compete. And I know we're sending people out there, just from our crew to go out there and watch. It's not something that we have, seen a lot over the last couple of years, and I know that was a desire from people that are more important than me to see that realized, and you were close to achieving that, which is really, really cool.
Yes. Again, with rebuilding and everything, our focus this year was just to make sure we're having fun in the process, that we're working really hard, that we're getting the result that we want, but we're also having fun and being a team, creating a team as we go. Again, with a newer roster, half the girls are coming in as freshmen. So just kind of making sure that, the culture, the team values and all that thing is we're just meshing the right way, because we haven't had that always in the past with Avila. So again, I think that's a big component of why we've been so successful this year is just the team aspect, the family aspect to the girls that we have. Again, with only 13 girls, we get to spend a lot of time together. We get to know each other really well, and I think that's been a vital part of kind of our success so far this season.
What's it going to take between now and when you guys compete on Thursday for you to feel, again, you said, not out there, expecting or, dreaming about it. You probably are, I guess, but, dreaming about a first place necessarily. But
That'd be nice.
That would be awesome, I know. But what's it going to take to either get to that point or between now and Thursday, or just for you to feel like your team is ready as you can be to get out there and perform?
And probably just making sure we keep the nerves at bay, that we just make sure we're doing what we do in practice and being what I call like our normal, be our normal, do your normal routine. Don't think, we're at competition that we have to change things or do things differently. I think just making sure that they really just stay focused on themselves and not get caught up in the environment and what everybody else is doing, that they stay focused on themselves and their job, while we're down there, but also, enjoy the experience. It's a fun time. They get to go to Florida. They get to be on the beach. We have some girls that are going on a plane for the first time, so just kind of enjoying the novelty of the experience, but also, staying focused and doing what they prepared all year to do.
So it's enjoying just the process of it, right? Because it's something that they haven't experienced before, so it'll be a first time. I didn't even think about that side of it, but this whole week, you guys have been building up towards it, like I said, and this will be their first time and your first time with us getting to see it actually realized, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. We're excited. Again, we're just trying not to put some pressure on them, but, just let them understand that we're proud of what they've done so far, and regardless of what happens, that we love them and we're proud of them either way, and that, it is a learning experience for us. But again, we want to do well. We want to start out on a good note for the future, and, they're prepared, they're ready. We just, hopefully whatever result we get, and that we're proud of.
We are proud of you guys already. It's been really, really exciting to see you guys get out there. I love being there on Sunday. It was a really cool atmosphere, really awesome environment. Again, I'll use it for a fourth time. The excitement level was really, really high, and I was kind of, stuck in the wings, kind of watching everything happen from, kind of a back of the house view, and it was still really cool. I could feel everything, on both sides of me. Could feel the energy, could feel the anticipation, and could feel once again the excitement level continued to rise as that afternoon went on, which. I was certainly not competing out there, but I thought it was pretty cool to be a part of.
Yeah, we were grateful for everybody that came out and supported us yesterday. It's a lot of fun. I think, again, it was good. Everybody was just excited that we're competing again. So we had some alumni there and some friends and family, and it was just a really great environment. We're really grateful that we have such support from our Avila community for cheer and dance together, and it's exciting. It's exciting that finally that both teams of the Spirit program are back competing, and we're kind of just doing it together, and it's a lot of fun. Even though we're going to different nationals, it's good that we're kind of just getting to experience it all together.
And that will all finally come to a head this week as Avila Cheer heads back to Nationals. They're going to NCAA Nationals to compete later this week. So semifinals on Thursday,
yes.
Finals on Friday. We will have further details and schedule out on our website, avilaathletics.com, once everything is finalized. Stay tuned to Avila Athletics on social media and Avila Cheer on social media for schedules, content, updates, and a lot of other stuff coming your way from Florida as this week wears on. So once again, for cheer, semifinals on Thursday, finals on Friday. For dance, it's semifinals on Friday, finals on Saturday. We'll have coverage for you all week long as cheer and dance head to Florida to compete in their national championships later this week. Coach Julia Kramm, thanks for being here and good luck this week.
Thank you.
That is head cheer coach Julia Kramm. Thank you for watching Eye on the Eagles. For all of us here at Avila Athletics, especially my team, Keaton Ashby and Darian Minor, thank you to them for everything they do. Thank you to Tanners at Redbridge, as always, for hosting us. So for all of them, I've been Tim Hackett. We will see you next week for another episode of Eye on the Eagles. Until then, stay safe and so long from Kansas City.